Hi, welcome to our Road to Victory devotions. Today's Maundy Thursday, but in Jesus' day it wasn't known as Maundy Thursday, it was actually known as the Day of Preparation, where the Jews came together to Jerusalem and prepared because on the Friday it was the beginning of the great celebration of Passover, and how they remembered how God had brought the Jews, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. So things were in place, things were happening. There was a buzz in the city as people were excited. But behind the scenes, there was also things happening as well. The religious leaders were preparing to get rid of Jesus. He was a troublemaker, and they decided they want to get rid of him. They'd managed to persuade and find a betrayer. Judas Iscariot had been paid 30 pieces of silver, and he'd agreed to betray Jesus. So the scene was set. So the disciples and Jesus, they come to the upper room to celebrate the great Passover meal, annually celebrated. But this year was different, because Jesus, he takes a bowl of water and a towel and he begins to wash the feet of the disciples. They must have been absolutely amazed and gobsmacked in the sense of their leader was doing this, but he was showing them servanthood. He was showing them true humility and saying, this is what you've got to do to each other in servanthood and serving each other. Then as the things started, they settled down for the meal, he then challenges them that one of them would betray him. He knew who it was, and eventually Judas clears off, and then they're able to settle down and have the meal. And as during the meal, he breaks the unleavened bread and said, this represents my body, which is broken for you and for us. He then takes the cup of wine, the wine that represented the blood that was splattered on the doorposts and lintels of the houses in Egypt, and he says, this blood, this wine represents my blood that is going to be shed for the forgiveness of sins for all mankind. So after the meal, they sing a hymn, then they go to the Garden of Gethsemane. And there in the garden, Jesus asks the disciples to pray and to watch and to pray. But they watch and then they fall asleep. But Jesus goes a short distance and he prays to his Father. And he's interceding, and his sweat becomes like drops of blood. But in doing so, he says to his Father, not my will, but yours be done. And as soon as he's finished, and as soon as he comes back to the disciples, and as soon as they rouse, Judas appears on the scene with temple guards, and they come to arrest Jesus. And Judas betrays Jesus with a kiss. Something that's supposed to show intimacy and love. Because of Jesus, he loves us. He died for us. So much so that he loves us. But he's betrayed by a kiss. And so he's taken, bound down to the religious leaders. And so the process begins of his trial, which will ultimately lead to his death.